All right, welcome to a special edition of the final Siren, and unfortunately the Freo Dockers going down to the Brisbane Lions in heartbreaking fashion, joined by Bretto in the absence of our great man Duck, and shout out to him and congratulations on the newborn, if you will. But let's get to the game, mate. Even though it was a loss for the Fremantle Dockers, one thing I will say is that it was a four-quarter performance that was just a series of almosts that is indicative of the season, if you will, and wouldn't mind hearing from you about what you thought about the almost game.
Heartbreak is the word. That one hurt. The crowd was willing the boys on, I think, 37k odd in the house tonight.
Just under 38.
The boys are pushing. There was that Hayden Young kick right on the Siren. Inside 50, we ran out of time. Who knows what could have happened. It was a tight tussle all day. It was nerve-wracking to watch. Look, a great performance from the boys against the top, 3 team, I think they are at the moment, Brisbane. One that got away. It definitely hurts right now. 3 games left in this home and away season. So I guess the focus now shifts to finishing this year off as strong as possible and taking as much momentum into 2024 as we can. Yeah,
absolutely. I think one of the concerns about when you're out of the finals contention, there's a concern that you could just let the end of a season go. One of the things I've really noticed, particularly in the past couple of games, we've sort of thrown the magnets around a little bit and we've tried people in different positions. And the elephant in the room is how good has Young been in the past? Well, it's not really an elephant in the room, it's just cold hard facts, but how good has Hayden Young been since his move to the middle? So last week we obviously saw what he was able to do in the guts against Dangerfield, and this week we saw him go straight away head-to-head CBA with Lockie Neal. And mate, at halftime, I had some stats on him because I was really curious. At halftime, he was on 15 disposals, 4 clearances, 6 tackles, and 275 metres gained against a pretty decent player, Brownlow medalist, pretty decent guy.
Pretty good.
He had 12 disposals, 3 clearances, 2 tackles, and 145 metres gained. And you got to remember that Lockie Neal, that's his office. That's where he goes to work. He packs up his briefcase every day, and that's Youngie's been in there for a couple of games. And to show what he's been able to do in 2 games is highly impressive and is exciting for the future.
This man cannot leave the midfield.
No.
He's a wonderful half backup, but
lock it in.
What a mid he's becoming.
I'm gonna write it up.
He has come in, learnt the centre clearance craft, learnt that stoppage game with the other mids in Andy Brayshaw, Caleb Sarong, Luke Jackson. He did a stellar job on Patrick Dangerfield last week down at GMHBA, winning against Geelong. Went to Lockie Neal, as we touched on. He's doing it inside, he's doing it outside. He had impact in the middle. He had 2 to 3 touches in the first, 30 seconds of the game. He didn't have a tackle in the first quarter, had 6 tackles in the first 5 minutes of the second term. Yeah. And again, those numbers that you rattled off there with the clearance differential and the impact on the game in contrast to a seasoned midfielder like Lockie Neal. It was exciting to watch. It's early days into this midfield game for him. He kind of mentioned from the get-go early in his career that the midfield was a place he wanted to get to.
Yep.
And it was, plying his time as a defender, working on his craft, and then doors open. Whether it is through a run with role, but maybe that shifts one point during the future and he just becomes that solid mid. Heath Chapman, we have to remember, is still coming back from injury. So does he kind of help fill that gap down back as well and allow Hayden Young to move up the field? Time will tell, but it's an exciting prospect.
Look, absolutely. I love the fact that he's now able to go in there with a big body. So it's not as if we're throwing him to the wolves, so to speak. I mean, he looks like a footballer, always has looked like a footballer. And at one stage when you looked at CBAs, we had obviously Jackson, Brayshaw, Sarong, Young, and Raz. I really like the way the mix was looking, and also we had Freddie going the other side, two-way running, which is great. But the focus was on the youth and the potential and the future. So one of the things I really wanted to point out was how exciting it is moving forward, seeing Youngie there, and the dynamic was different. Now, I know you talked about the amount of tackles and so forth, and I mentioned the disposals. He actually got his hands on a lot more, but the stats don't count when you get tackled and bundled up. So he's actually both in and under and on the outside, as you mentioned, which makes him a complete player. I'm going to throw this out there, and I don't say this lightly.
Okay, here we go. Big call.
He could jump to a potential Brownlow medalist.
Oh boy!
In his officially, if he stays there in his first full season, because he's got the blonde hair,
stands out,
inside outside.
Yep.
Beautiful left foot, and gets a lot of it.
So first full season as a midfielder, is that next year?
Yes.
That's next year.
That's what I'm thinking.
So round 1, 2024,
Yes.
Hayden Young is in the centre bounce. Andy Brayshaw, Caleb Sarong, Luke Jackson.
Yes.
Or Sean Darcy.
Sean Darcy, yeah.
Okay, I like it.
Are you getting excited?
Well, yeah, if he's going to win a Brownlow.
Getting a bit hot and heavy here.
Yeah, I'm excited. Can we talk about Luke Jackson, though, as well?
Yeah,
what a
fantastic.
game from him. I know AFL fantasy points don't mean everything. He had 92 at halftime, ended on 140 odd, but hit outs, I think he had 44 of them. 24 touches, 6 tackles, 5 marks, 445 metres gained. What a luxury it is to have someone like a premier ruckman like Sean Darcy on the sidelines, and Luke Jackson's able to shoulder that ruck load and play the way he's playing. It's phenomenal. Yeah,
look, and obviously shouldering the load while Big Swaggy's recovering from injury, and shout out to him. Hope he comes back fitter and better than ever next season. But I will say this, and at halftime I said to you, is there anyone better at ground level at his position in the AFL? Because I would like you to tell me.
It'd be hard pressed to tell you anyone that's better. I mean, not same position, but I saw a Jai Amos one-handed pickup on the wing that excited me. But but we can move off that for a second. But yeah, his groundwork is ridiculous.
I think a lot's been said about his former background in basketball. You know that's my passion. But I mean, certainly his ability at ground level to pick up but just assess the situation. And also his deft touch work as well really freed up our mids to go forward. And I thought we looked the most dangerous when we had that centre clearance. And something that I'm sure you'll probably bring up when he comes on is the idea of freeing up our mids to get clean possession, and then the chain going inside 50 is that last piece of the puzzle to work on.
Yeah, he tore up that game. Could have had an even bigger one. Kicked 1 goal too. Had a couple shots that could have. He could have converted as well. So it could have been an outright all-time game from him as well. Can we shift into the backline a little bit? I want to highlight Jordan Clark, Corey Wagner, their dash off half-back, their creativity, the way they drive us forward. They're quickly becoming 2 of my favourites, the way they go about it, the way they play their roles, and gets our players higher up the ground into the game.
Well, I've been thinking about this, and I couldn't come up with a better name at the time. I mean, we talk about the Bash brothers in Ryan and Cox, but I'm thinking Cash and Carry is the new nickname for Wags and our man.
The alliteration is strong.
You like that? You like that?
It's nice.
Just the way that, Clarkie, the dash off the back line and his willingness to take it on, but also really loved the bodywork today. The bodywork was phenomenal. And again, one of the things historically for Freo, which has always been a bit of an Achilles heel, has been defending small forwards. We managed to sort of just curtail as much as we could. And I thought great bodywork from Clark. A bit stiff not to get something when he got absolutely poleaxed out of the back line on the ground there, but tough summer. But I love the fact that Wags, who's that little engine that could, just keeps on going, and he just keeps driving.
And you had Waggles, you had Wags on this pod, I think maybe 2 weeks ago. Spoke about just the newfound confidence he's got to take that game on. He knows that is his purpose, that is what he's in that side to do. Just creates a whole different look. Jordan Clark, there was a particular point in maybe the first quarter where he just almost like parted the seas, just burst through. It was very exciting to watch. But those two, really a great game today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you look at how the Fremantle game plan is set up, if we've got that strong structure from the back line and the willingness to run and carry and take it on and get it over that first line of defence, that opens everything else up. And I think that willingness and dare has just added a new dimension. I think credit to Wags, man, because he really has opened up things in the back line.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that can go understated because, he may not necessarily get the stats that everyone else is getting, but his willingness to drive by foot and take ground, it's just something that allows people like Freddie to get over the top and allows our runners to get on with it. So, and again, a little push forward there with Liam Henry. I thought he had another solid game today. And again, clean by foot, and showing what he can do on the wing too.
Well, that's the benefit of a game like this where we're right in it. You can pull apart so many different positives. Liam Henry was one of those, and I'm glad you raised him. His field kicking today, I thought, was outstanding. Found Michael Frederick a handful of times as well, which was great. He played with absolute confidence. There was a particular bit of play. He stiff-armed it, spun around.
Yeah.
I was getting very excited in the box with a couple of the other comms guys, but... when he plays with that confidence, and I think he's definitely shown that a lot throughout the year this season. He's just a different player, and he's wonderful to watch. His kicking again today, his skills. It's what he was touted for coming into the draft as well, and he's really starting to deliver on that.
Now, another guy who our man Duck loves to call the Desert Pea.
Yeah.
Samuel. I'll tell you what, there was a couple of passages there that make me think that this is a guy that we need to persist with.
Yep.
And one of which was the diving smother,
yep,
which I have not seen before. So in terms of him putting that pressure on, but then willingness to put his body on the line and get that diving smother, the message is getting through from the coaches, I think. His pressure has been definitely up around where it needs to be. But he's now starting to hit the scoreboard.
Yeah.
And he's one of those guys that just doesn't need a lot of it to actually have a lot of impact.
Yeah.
And I think his clean kicking and the ability to, like he showed today, at crucial times, one day he's going to be a game winner for us. Now, we know how good Jai is, but in terms of like kicking for goal, there are two people that I would love to, that are big forwards who I'd like to see kicking for goal if we needed to have them kicking for goal, and he's one of them.
That was the publicised part of him going back to Waffle for a decent stint, wasn't it? Was that the coaches wanted to see that increased pressure, that tackling. And it's funny, just looking at his numbers here. So it was actually 0 tackles he had today, but we walk away from that game going, how much inferred pressure did he put on?
Yeah.
The smother, just that part of that unit trying to lock it into our front half. I know our players, I think they wanted to come in today and just create as much chaos as they could in that front half. And he was part of that, despite the 0 on the tackle count. But it's just that pressure that he's worked on, gone back to Peel and really tried to excel in that craft. And again, like you said, hitting the scoreboard with 3 goals. One crucial one towards the end there that almost tried to wheel us over the line as well.
Yeah.
It's great to see Sammy Sturt getting some regular opportunity and delivering.
All right, we're joined on the final siren by Luke Jackson. Luke, obviously heartbreaker towards the end, but kept with the top 4 side for 4 quarters, mate. And I'd like to hear from you in terms of the emotion and how you're feeling right now from the game.
Yeah, most of the boys are pretty flat, obviously. We just had a talk with JL in the rooms just then, and we thought it was a big missed opportunity not winning that game, but a lot of learnings to take out of it as well, and pretty flat overall.
What are some of those learnings? The crowd was really pushing, and the boys themselves pushing to drive that ball forward. Hayden Young, that kick on the siren that was going to go inside 50, maybe it would have changed the result, who knows, we ran out of time there, but some of those learnings that you do take from that game? Yeah,
definitely. We spoke about that third quarter, some things we could have done a lot better, some entries up there could have gone better our way, and just overall execution in the end. So we'll look back on the game with lots of learnings heading into next week.
Yeah, I think from a fan's perspective, like one of the things I think we can really take out of it in terms of positivity is, that they threw some different things at us and they put that Brisbane wall up, but we were still thinking our way through it, and we just hung in there and dug deep. And obviously your performance today, mate, 24 disposals, 44 hit outs, 445 metres gained. And I said to Bretto at half time, is there anyone better at ground ball than yourself? And you were really just willing the side forward. Did you just, that surely there would have been that feeling at 3/4 time, like, this is us, this is ours, we can do this. There's that drive that we could win that game?
Yeah, definitely. I felt a lot of momentum swings in the game. And when you got the momentum on your side, you feel like you can't be stopped. But then they wrestle it back, and it's in their favour. So when we get the ball going forward like that, and our mids are connecting, you definitely feel really powerful in there. But I think we're a young team. We're just going to keep learning all that stuff in those situations in games. So we'll only get better, I reckon.
You are shouldering the main ruck load with Swaggy's injury. We had a little taste of it earlier on the year when Sean had a few weeks out. How are you finding this second stretch of shouldering that ruck? Any learnings you took from that first time, and how are you coping with it?
No, it's good. I like playing in the ruck and being around the ball. It's where I probably played most of my juniors, so I feel really natural in there. But still learning a lot of the stuff that goes with playing ruck. All the patterns, running patterns, all that stuff that come with it, and got Swaggy to learn off, and some other people here at the club as well. So I wanted to keep learning when I keep playing the role.
Yeah, and look, on that as well, obviously second week in with the CBAs where we've got Young, Brayshaw and Sarong, and a bit of a different look, but it really looked like it was paying off early for us. What are your thoughts on that with the new addition of Youngie running through there?
Yeah, I love it when Youngie's in the middle. He just brings such a different dynamic, and that left boot he's got is really damaging coming out of the middle. So and he's a tough player as well. So when you've got a lot of players that can run through the midfield, definitely helps the team. And he's looking really good in there so far.
There's a number of goals today where we basically got it straight out of the centre clearance. A few handballs, Sarong, Brayshaw between themselves, and bang, inside 50 kick a goal. That's the most I can remember this season in a single game straight out of the centre clearance. Did you feel that in there where that surge footy from the middle was coming?
Yeah, definitely. There was a lot of patterns where we connected well and came straight out of the middle, and either hit it forward or kick the goal. So looks really good when we're doing that, and we're just going to keep building the connection as it goes forward, I reckon. And,
So first year at Freo, and you're finding your feet, but really starting to hit your straps now. Obviously feeling more comfortable in your role, and obviously that's changed with big swaggy onions down. But you're finding yourself in that situation where you're more comfortable and you know exactly what's expected of you.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I know my role really well at the club, and obviously it's changed a bit with Swaggy out, but I've learned a lot of stuff off the coaches at Freo, and obviously my first year here, so I'm just going to keep learning off those guys and just try to keep improving.
Can we circle back to Hayden Young quickly? Obviously, featuring in the centre clearance at AFL level is new for him. How has the last, say, month been getting him up to speed, like working with him on clearance work and your ruck stoppages? How have you found that process that Hayden Young's and how he's picked up on it all?
Yeah, I reckon it's been pretty smooth. He's obviously been joining in the midfield training drills and looking really good in there and fitting in. So we do a lot of stuff after training as well with the centre bounce and stuff, and he joins in on that. So he's looking really good, looks comfortable in there.
Beautiful. Mate, you got a tank of a beast, and it's got to be one of your attributes, obviously, what you're using. You're running around the ruckman and just being able to get across the ground and really look like you're flying across the four quarters. Do you feel like that's a real asset for you against these other ruckmen in the competition?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like in my juniors as well, that was one of my main strengths, getting around the ground. So obviously AFL's a bigger level with all that stuff, so I just want to keep getting my fitness base up and keep using that as a strength.
Joel Corey, the mids coach, give us some insight for the fans who don't know the ins and outs of what he's like to work with, how he has worked with you this year since he stepped up into that full-time mids coach role.
Yeah, Smitty's really good. He's a really tactical kind of coach, and you can tell he knows what he's doing, and all the boys really love him. So we've learned a lot of him this year, and personally I have as well. So I'll keep looking to learn off guys like Smitty.
There's a lot of things, I guess, in the game that you can take away as positives. I thought one of the things as well, which is a bit of a nuance is just being able to bring the ball to ground. If we're not marking it, we're bringing it to ground, and it really looked like our smalls were getting at the feet and really taking advantage of yourself and Josh bringing the ball to ground and then swooping on it and then moving it forward. Have you found that that's something that you guys have focused more on, or has that just naturally just occurred with more time for you and the ruck?
Yeah, no, we've definitely spoken about that kind of stuff. If we're not marking it when we bring it to the ground, we've got some small forwards that they're up there with best in the comp, so in terms of speed and everything like that. So yeah, if we half it, then we got guys like Freddie, Sonny, all those boys that running towards goal. And,
Before we wrap, we were talking just off air before a big game next Saturday night with a derby, an RAC derby against West Coast. Looking forward to that one, Dogger.
Yeah, definitely. My first derby was pretty fun to be a part of, so looking forward to the second one, and I'm sure it'll be a pretty fiery game. I think it's their home game, so it'll be a good game to be a part of.
Beautiful. Mate, thanks for joining us. But again, I understand obviously a lot of disappointment in losing, but there's some real positivity in watching what we've become, especially over the past few weeks, starting to become more consistent. Last question from me to you, mate. Like the launch into next season, like this back end of games is really, the precipice of something real positive, that launch pad into next season. Is that something that JL's talked about with finishing really strong and then launching into that next season? Yeah,
he has spoken about that. We want to not just waste the season and think about next year. We want to finish off strong, and we can still get a lot out of this year and finish off strong and going into 24. So, got a few games left and looking forward to it.
Yeah. We can't wait to watch that strong finish to the season. Luke, once again, a ripping game. Thank you very much for joining us.
Cool. Cheers, fellas.
Thanks, mate. Look, just quickly shifting on, and it wouldn't be like some form of Purple Rain influence if we didn't talk about just something that we could work on.
Yep.
And that would be our final delivery inside 50.
Yep.
Sometimes it is 10 years hard labour. That final delivery kick inside 50. And it's not because of a lack of opportunity. We really I thought we really created a lot of opportunities driving forward, but it was just the execution. The final execution cost us.
Yeah.
And, people who talk about, was it this decision, or that wasn't our way, or was it, a ticky-touch goal? It's more about making the most of your opportunities. And I think if you want to be in not only the top 8, but if you want to be in the top 4, you have to be able to take the opportunities. When you're streaming forward and you've got forwards leading, you've got to be able to hit them lace out. And that's something that I'm sure that we'll be working on, but wouldn't mind hearing from you, because you probably see it more often than us, down at the club, in terms of how we're working on that forward craft and hitting up our leads.
You see it at training all the time. All drills seem... They have real intent, real purpose behind them and what they're trying to achieve. The players are very clear on what they're trying to get out of training. They understand this execution point of view. So I think they've worked so hard on it. Like you said, these opportunities that are being created, I think they're coming off the back, particularly today, of some of our movement looked really good, looked really excellent. Like I felt like we had, in multiple occasions, a runner ready to go to receive the handball driving through. We even had our players, whether they marked it or collected it, just prop and wait for that runner to come through. I'd like to see us clean up our handball a little bit. Sometimes I think we handball into trouble and put a teammate into trouble. So just that use of hands. But that connection, that execution, moving inside forward 50. It's been a touched on point throughout the season, and it's something that I can tell you that they're 100% working so hard on it.
Yeah, nice. I know it sounds weird. We've been going, the odd 24 minutes. I can tell you that it's weird to say this, but that loss is a real... I come out of that with positives. I come out of that with... This is how I would like to see the club play going forward in terms of the intent. It was a 4-quarter performance. Every player was in. It was just a couple of things that we needed to tidy up. And to give credit to Brisbane, there's a reason why they're a top 4 side. There's a reason why
they were good.
And they were playing today for a top 2 spot. And so all of the opportunity and the motive and everything to play for from their perspective, and they came out, and when they needed to, they executed, and that is the trademark of a top 4 side.
You are right. They're a percentage point out from the top 2.
Yeah.
With Port's form of late. So there was a lot to play from their perspective. We know how good they are at home at the Gabba, so that's so advantageous to them.
Yeah.
Come finals time. So it was a tough tussle. It was a tight tussle. It was great to watch. Good footy.
Yeah.
Just from a external point of view, it was great to watch. But it's like you said, like you guys always say, a tough summer.
Yeah, look, tough summer, but I'm sure the boys will bounce back. Everyone will be up and about for next week, mate. And that's something to finish on a positive, to say, hey, next week is going to be an absolute barnstormer. Give us a prediction.
Can I extend that to 2 weeks? RAC Derby next week.
Oh, okay.
Retro round against Port Adelaide the week after. 2 more games at home for the regular home and away season for the men's. So love to see this house get packed out. I know West Coast's home game next week, but particularly that round 23 Port Adelaide game should be a ripper as well.
Absolutely. Look, unfortunately, we didn't get the chockies today, but a lot to take out of that game. Really indicative of the season, but I tell you what, for our fans, get around it. You can see the ground swell, what's happening, and you just get around it. It's almost there. It's palpable. Thanks for joining us today, mate. You're the better of the two. I'll give you the hot tip, mate. And once again, thanks for listening in. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. There'll be something on this screen here.
Duck likes to do this.
He likes to do that. I don't know what that means, but I'll do that now.
I don't think he's pointing to anything usually anyway,
right.
But this. There you go.
There's this. Click on that. But thanks for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.